Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Sideshow Collectibles 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review video. Now today we're going to be continuing our looks at the classic DC comic book style figures from Sideshow with none other than Batman himself. This one I've been personally really looking forward to ever since we did the Superman, and I'm pretty sure it might just be one of my favourite Superman collectibles in any scale. This Batman has been on the top of my pile for what to unbox next. Now yes, I will be picking up the rest of the League that they have made so far, so it's a little bit too early to tell which one is going to potentially be my favourite. But Batman is my favourite DC character, so I might be a little bit biased here. Nevertheless, if you are looking to pick up this Batman, I'm pretty sure he's sold out from Sideshow, but you can try eBay and your local collectible buy-sell groups. You may get lucky and find one in the wild at your local comic book stores perhaps. Just do some hunting and you will probably be rewarded with a really awesome comic-based Batman figure. Nevertheless, what we are going to do now is get the box laying flat in the light box and do the unboxing. And here of course we have the box art for Batman. Super simple, very classy, just like the Superman figure. It's got a grayscale line art version of Gotham City on the side, Batman logo, then some comic book artwork that wraps around with Batman's face there. Also an image of the figure on the back. Now I really did enjoy that Superman figure, so I'm hoping this Batman is equally as good. You can see some beautiful classic Batman artwork, including a color version of Batman's face on the side and on the bottom, but just like with Superman, if we remove the inner tray, you get even more classic Silver Age artwork for Batman. It's a super simple yet very classy thing that not a lot of companies do, and I'm glad that Sideshow did that. Also, this piece being a utility belt to hold the two clam trays together, this stuff is just genius, and it really goes to show that Sideshow, at least on their DC Comics figures, do care. And here, of course, we have the Caped Crusader Batman himself in his blue and grey comics classic style glory. And first impressions are pretty darn positive. I'm liking the feel in hand, just like Superman. Whether or not I decide to do a body swap on Batsy here, like I do plan to do for Supes, not entirely sure as of yet, but I'll let you know by the end of the video. Now, of course, he does come with a tray of accessories down below, so what we are going to do now is get all of Batman's accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. And here we have all of the bits and pieces that come with Batman. It's kind of slim pickings here. He doesn't come with a hell of a lot of stuff. More on that in just a second. Now let's talk about the display base first. It's simple, it's a usual Sideshow style display base, but it's got an awesome print on the top. It's a nice textural style print. You can see it's not just a super glossy print over the top, it's got some texture about it, and I really like how that looks and how that feels. You also have a crotch grabber up the top. Unfortunately, mine is missing one of these rubber caps. I'll have to sort that out sometime down the line. Now, the only accessories that Batman comes with are two batarangs. They are at least made out of die-cast, which is awesome. They are two different shapes. This one is a little bit more classic, whereas this one may be a little bit more modern. However, Batman is known for using gadgets. I would have loved a grappling gun. There's a whole host of accessories that you could have given to Batman. If you did get the exclusive version, yes, you get the unmasked Bruce Wayne head sculpt, but that doesn't solve the gadget shortage. I think that Sideshow honestly could have done a little bit better when it comes to accessories. I know they did with their previous comic book version of Batman. Now you do get a couple of interchangeable hands, and at the very least they all do come with wrist pegs, which to this day I absolutely love. What we are going to do now though is get Batman himself out here and take a closer look. And here we have him standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. And yeah, I'm really starting to like this Batman. Initially, when I saw the promo pictures, I ran through the usual list of complaints. He's too skinny, I don't really like the head sculpt, and maybe the suit was a little bit too complex. We'll touch on that more in just a second, but now, seeing him in front of me, doesn't he just look all kinds of mean? He's brooding, he's got the cape going with the half and half look. I'm loving how this guy looks in hand. Now, yes, I still do have a couple of nitpicks here and there, but overall I'm really impressed, especially with the cape material. Sideshow, you've done it right, you've chosen a perfect material for a 1/6 scale Batman cape. Hopefully, other companies, Hot Toys, learns from this, because you guys have done it right. What we are going to do now, though, is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in, and take a closer look at the details. And here we have him up close and personal, and I have to say, for a super simple, classic comic book styled version of Batman, they nailed it. Usually it's the simplest designs which are the hardest to pull off, but Sideshow has done a really good job here. Let's start off by talking about the head sculpt. Sideshow's no stranger to sculpting Batman figures. This is their second one. The first one to me looked far too old. It literally looked like an 80-year-old man had dressed up as Batman. But since then, they've learned. They've scaled the age back slightly. He's young enough to still be fierce and ferocious, but also old enough to be grizzled and mean. I really like the way it looks. The eyes have a beautiful, shiny, pearlescent look to them. Granted, the Flash figure does have regular human eyes, so it would have been nice to see that here for Batman so they all match and it's nice and consistent within the line, but still, he looks beautiful, very, very comic book accurate. I also like the short but sharp and pointy ears. Now, they have made the decision to make the cape a separate fabric piece that sort of covers the neck. It's a nice blend between the back of the cowl and the neck here, and at a distance, the color match is perfectly serviceable. I also love the material that they made the cape out of. It's super lightweight and it perfectly comes around the front just like you'd want for a Batman figure to be moody and broody and wrap around the front there just to reveal a sliver of the Bat logo. This is the perfect material to make 1/6 scale capes out of. Sideshow, y'all nailed it with this cape here. Now, as for the bodysuit, the one thing that I don't potentially like, though, are these lines, these panel lines that come around the front and come down to the legs. I know if they weren't there, it would look a little bit more boring, but for me personally, it kind of strays away from what they were trying to do here, which is create a super comic book styled version of Batman. Granted, you can ignore them and they're not super overbearing, but still, they are there and I kind of wish they weren't. Now, the Bat logo on the chest is a super classic design, and I love the way that looks. The belt is a little bit of a pain. It does like to ride up, and then he looks like Harry High Pants, so do make sure you move it down just so it's sitting on his hips there. That'll definitely help with the proportions on your Batman. Now, the belt buckle is actually made of die-cast, just like the Batarangs, which is an awesome touch, and the pouches are all sculpted plastic, so you shouldn't have to worry about any degrading pleather-style material. That's definitely a good thing. You do also have the underoos on the outside. You can, of course, try and remove them if that's something you wanted to do, but I personally will be keeping them on my Batman here. You do also have the gauntlets with the spikes. These are a little bit more rubbery, though. That means they won't break off if you get a little bit more adventurous with your posing. Now, coming down to the boots, they are very similar to the design that we saw for Superman, except they've got one point at the top. They are still sculpted to have that split-cut boot design. They're really nicely hidden, though, with the folds of the top part. It looks fantastic. Then, of course, down the bottom here, I really love this detail with the steel tips and also the heels on the boots. You can just see them ever so slightly peeking out the front there. It's a nice touch. I love what Sideshow have done there. Overall, even though the Batman looks a little bit skinnier than some people were potentially hoping he would, I still think he's a really impressive figure on the shelf. You can have the cape wrapped around and have him all moody and broody and mean, and I think that's exactly what I'm going to be doing for my display. Now, for our quick side-by-side comparison, here we have the Sideshow Batman on the left and the Sideshow Superman on the right. You can see that Bruce is a little bit taller than Clark here, but I like that. I like the subtle height difference between the two. It means they're not just using the exact same stock body between all of the figures, they're making subtle changes and improvements. It's also evidence to the fact that the Batman figure has a grey body underneath to match the undersuit, whereas the Superman one is of course a skin-toned body. So yeah, they aren't using the exact same bodies, which I really do like. Overall though, these two look fantastic standing together, and I think this image is only going to get clearer and clearer as we start adding more and more League members in here. I can't wait to see how this collection turns out. Just going over articulation on Batman. Now bear in mind, this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. I'm sure when you get yours in hand, you can push the joints slightly further than I'm willing to go. Now starting off with the head sculpt, it's on a fixed neck, however, you still get a fairly decent range of motion pretty much in all directions. The arms go out to about there, they go forward the full way, there is a butterfly joint incorporated up there as well. You have a single bend at the elbow which has a swivel, and of course a regular 1/6 scale style wrist peg for the hand. Now for the torso, you do have the same range of motion as Superman. There's a swivel down here at the waist, but there's also a crunch at the top. Mine is a little bit stiff fresh out of the box, but trust me, there you go. Once you loosen it up, it'll definitely get the job done. The legs go forward pretty much the full way, same thing going out, swivel at the upper thigh, double bend there at the knee, and of course a ball joint down here at the ankle. Just wrapping up on the Sideshow Silver Age comic book version of Batman. Now going into this, I kind of knew what to expect because I have the Superman and I love that release. It's fantastic. So yes, Batman kind of is the figure in the same vein, except for some reason with Batsy, they decided to add a few of those panel line details. He's pretty much flawless in my opinion, save for those details. If they weren't there, I would say this would be an absolutely awesome pickup, and he still is really, really good, don't get me wrong, but those panel lines just don't work for me. Also, wouldn't this look even better if the blue was much lighter like we saw on the box art? All of those comic book panels of Batman in the Silver Age with the super punchy vibrant blue, that'd be awesome. But nevertheless, he's still a really good release. Now the question remains, do you need to upgrade the body? Personally, I don't think you do. I think this works for me. But if you want a big, beefy, roided out version of Batman, you'll have to unstitch the back of the suit, then pop in a new body. You can definitely get it done, and I've seen it done. It looks awesome. But for me, I'm sticking with this more slender version of Batman. He's a little bit slimmer, but he still means business. Now unfortunately, he doesn't come with a hell of a lot of stuff, and he does go for a pretty penny. But if you are picking up the DC Comics version of the League from Sideshow, Batman is kind of essential, so you'll want to pick him up. I don't exactly know where you can do that though. Try eBay, your local comic book stores, maybe Sideshow if they still have him in stock. Nevertheless, if you are heading down to the description, why not check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the awesome Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.